Hey guys, I'm Big, and this is how I plan on losing weight. Okay, technically point zero is in the other videos, the first complete guide to fitness. This is the second one, part two. If you want more nutrition information, go back to that one. Caloric deficit, that is the most important thing for losing weight. So essentially the way this works, your body burns a set amount of calories to survive. Literally, if you were laying in bed for a specific amount of time, you would burn those calories either way. And so to lose weight, you need to create an environment, and in that way I mean creates conditions, set conditions, where your body would need to use the stored body fat, which is energy. And how do you do that? You eat less than what your body would burn. And so you can create that through exercise, but that is difficult. So the best way to do it is either both, combined deficit and exercise, or just the deficit. If you're, lazy bum and don't want to exercise, you can do it, but either way is fine. Exercise has other benefits as well. That is the main priority. You can do that with Twinkies, you can do that with Doritos, you can do that with Whole Foods. You do it with anything. Just make sure caloric deficit. Technically, to gain weight or build muscle, you would need to eat in a surplus, although I'll get into the nitty-gritty about that in a second. Topic one, the actual topic one, how to build muscle. So first, let me go over the important parts of building muscle, why you should build muscle, because first of all, it will make weight loss easier. If you build muscle, the actual amount of calories you burn naturally will increase, just by virtue of there being more muscle, which is more calorically expensive than fat. And fat is just calories. So obviously it's going to be more expensive to keep an actual functioning organ, if that makes sense. Something that actually uses the calories as opposed to fat, which just sits there. At least this is what I've learned and what has worked for me. The best way to build muscle, that is the physiological benefit to building muscle, and it also keeps you healthy when you get older. More muscle, not necessarily more muscle mass, but strength training, which gives you stronger muscles, will carry over into old age, allowing you for more easy movement. You won't live sitting on a chair the whole day. I don't think you should live life like that anyways. And also, a little vain, but you look amazing. I just need to say that. And that not only does that apply in romantic environment when you're looking for a spouse or a girlfriend, but also in a professional environment. There's a certain air about someone who takes care of their body, because there's a discipline that comes with that. There's like, this guy knows what he's talking about. This guy, although sometimes might not be true, this guy looks like he can do something. And there's that aspect of muscle building as well. Those are the two main benefits, at least that are the reasons I want to. There's two big components of building muscle. There's training and there's nutrition. The nutrition is the easiest, so I'm gonna get over with that quickly. In nutrition, you just need to eat enough protein that your body does not lack the building materials to build the new muscle. Because you can train as much as you want, if your body's not getting the building materials, you will not get it. It's like having someone throw a bunch of blueprints at you without the building materials to make the house. You can't build the house without the materials. And also vice versa. You can't build the house without the blueprints. And that blueprint, this is a kind of weird analogy, but that blueprint is the training you're doing. You're kind of telling your body what it needs to build up. In the same way, you can just throw materials, and I guess somebody could try to start building a house, have some sticks on the floor. You can call that a house, but it's not really a house. And so to build that, this is where it gets a little more complicated. You need progressive overload. You need to train to failure, not all the time. And you need to make sure that you have enough volume in your work. Those are the three biggest components. They're argued about which one is most important. A lot of people say volume is most important. That's what Jeff Nippert used to say. A lot of people say failure is most important. I think that's what Mike Isertel used to say, or still does say. And then there's the progressive overload fanatics who think that all you need to do is progressively overload. And they all have their benefits. They all have their touches. Actually, yeah, I'll just break into them one by one. So first, training with enough volume. That means training with enough sets, reps, and weight, or intensity, sets, and reps. That just means you train with literally doing enough stuff with the muscle to give it stimulus to grow. That's pretty self-explanatory. It's a number. You can get reps times sets times weight. And that comes out to a total volume in pounds. If you do the numbers correctly, that number should be relatively high, not extremely high, so you don't overwork yourself and burn out your central nervous system, but it should be high enough that your body's saying, we need to grow this to survive in this environment that you're putting us through. So number two, training to failure. That also comes with the fatiguing the central nervous system. You need to be careful. Depends on what you want to do, but if you want to build muscle, you go for moderate reps, moderate weight, so not light, but not too heavy. If you go too heavy, you're going to build up strength, as opposed to building muscle. And you will get some muscle gains, but you won't optimize it. If you can want to go for power building, I think that's what they call it, you can go for that as well. Although for our purposes, I don't think that serves too much now. Maybe later on in life, I'll move on to that, but right now I'm focused on the muscle building aspect. And so training to failure, it means that every set you need to push close enough to where you can't do any more reps. So push yourself hard enough until your muscle literally fails to go up. And most of the time, you don't have to do it all the way. Like if you leave 1 or 2 that you could do, sure. But I recommend personally that you try at least once per workout to bring a muscle to failure. If you're doing let's say a push day, your shoulder, your chest, and your tricep should all be pushed to failure at least once per workout. If you want to do it more, you can, although I do suggest to be careful because you can burn yourself out very easily by doing that. You know, can't really keep going to the gym if you don't like going to the gym, you know what I'm saying? And you do learn to love it later on if you do this correctly. The final part is progressive overload, which means every time you go into the gym, you increase something. You increase volume. You can either increase the reps you do, increase how many sets you do, or increase the weight. You can do that in whatever increments you want. Usually the increments people go to, especially when they have programs, it says 12 to 15 reps on an exercise. What that means, or the way I see it, I don't know if that's how they wrote it, but this is how I break that down. The way that's supposed to be done is you do a weight you can only do for 12 reps. And every time you go in for that workout, you do 1 more rep. Now, workout 1, you do 12 reps, workout 2, 13, workout 3, 14, and I guess you can go up to 15 for the 4th workout. And the next week, you change the weight and go back to 12 reps rather. So let's say you were at 100 pounds, you would build that up, 100 for 12, 100 for 13, till 100 for 15, and then you would go back down to 105 for 12, 105 for 13, 105 for 15. And that's what progressive overload is. You implement those basics and you eat enough the protein you need, you'll be good. I don't know if I went over this, but you should be eating enough protein to build muscle, and that usually is around, if you're bigger like me, you should probably not go for your body weight. You should go for your goal weight in grams. That means, so if your goal weight is 170, 180 pounds, try to eat 180 to 170 grams of protein every day. If you're already in a healthy weight, let's just say you're skinny fat, I don't know why you're watching this video, go find someone who's skinny fat, but this is the way I recommend you do it. You would just eat whatever weight you're at. Let's say you weigh 150 pounds, eat 150 grams of protein every day. And so with those 2 main principles, you'll gain muscle. So this is cardio. I'm gonna go through this one relatively quickly because it's not that complicated. Heart, arguably the most important muscle in your body, keeps all your other muscles alive. Well, every muscle keeps every muscle alive in a way, but this is what keeps the blood flowing through your body. And that gives you the energy, gives you the resources, transports everything to your body. It's your body's transit system, and you kind of need it. So the best way to work on that is obviously cardio. You don't have to do low intensity steady state cardio, which is your running, your jogging, your slow biking, that type of stuff. You don't have to do that necessarily. If you like it, go ahead, but you should find a form of cardio that you do like. And let's say you like a sport, you like soccer, you like basketball, that also serves as cardio. I don't know if you've noticed, but whenever you play basketball, you get pretty pumped up. And so it's important to find a cardio that you do like. Me personally, right now I'm doing Muay Thai, and I absolutely love that. It's phenomenal cardio, and I learned how to fight as well. So find something you like and make sure you get your heart pumping. And the benefits of that are pretty obvious. You increase your blood flow, you reduce your chances of getting a cardiac arrest, of building a plaque in your heart. There's a plethora of benefits. And you also burn some extra calories if you are trying to lose weight. And then you end up increasing the deficit without having to eat necessarily less. Although I would be careful because especially heavy bouts of high intensity cardio like sprinting does sometimes increase hunger, but it also makes you less susceptible to not feeling full. So if you eat what you do eat, you might feel full faster. I personally have felt that significantly ever since I started doing Muay Thai. I get full so much faster. I'm barely eating. My family's concerned. They're like, Kevin, what's going on? You should be eating food. And I'm like, I'm good. I'm okay. I'm full. I'm satisfied. I've gotten my nutrition. You just leave it at that. Okay, topic number 3 is the actual nutrition. This is a less in-depth version. Again, if you want to see the more in-depth version, you can go to part 1 of the video, part 1 of Complete Guide to Fitness, and that'll run you through the the main thing. So there's 3 things you need to know. You need the macronutrients, the role of nutrition. You obviously, I already told you the caloric deficit. You need to make sure you keep your calories low, not low. You keep your calories less if you're trying to lose weight, more technically if you're trying to gain muscle, although you can recomp depending on where you're starting from. If you're starting bigger like me, you can burn fat and build muscle at the same time. If you're a more advanced lifter, obviously you can't really do that at the same time, but theoretically you can. And if you're skinny fat, I do suggest it'll probably be better for you to bulk and cut. Bulk first, cut after, as opposed to the recomp. You'll get more benefit out of that. So you're going to want to try to focus on protein and nutrient-rich foods. That's your chicken, that's your fish, that's your Greek yogurt, healthy fats, your avocados, your nuts, your seeds, your fruits, obviously. Try to eat as much as that as you can. Bring that into your diet as much as possible. You need to make sure you drink as much water as you can. Try to go for around a gallon per day. No one's going to kill you if you drink less. No one's going to kill you if you drink more. Just try to aim for that mark. Try to make sure you stay consistent. That even though, let's say you don't hit your goal for that day, next day, just because you missed yesterday, doesn't mean you got to miss today as well. Keep going, keep pushing, you got this. And again, I'm going to touch on the portion control when actually eating the food. If you drink water or drink a liquid, preferably 0 calorie, while eating food, it'll become a lot easier for you to feel full, and you need to eat slower so that your body has time to register those satiety signals. That comes through leptin, which is a hormone that makes you feel full when you need to. Topic number 4 has to do with calories, calculating macros. I don't think you really need to calculate carbs and fats unless you are in a very strict, let's say, bodybuilding type thing, and I don't think most of you are. So what I do recommend is that you track at least at the beginning so you understand how much you're actually eating and how much you do need to eat. That brings into play calorie trackers on your phone. You can write it down and look up all the calories yourself, but the phone apps make it so much easier. Just look up MyFitnessPal or Macro Factor or Lose It. Any of those apps will work fine. And count your calories for at least a month. Just stay consistent for that time and you'll be fine. That way you learn what's in what, how much is in what, and you can build your future diet plan off that. And I have a little tip for the bigger guys at the end. Finish the video if you want to hear that after. And so on those calorie trackers, it's going to ask you for your caloric needs or how much calories you burn. It's going to ask you for information, your body weight, your height, all that information. You can either look it up yourself or you can add it from the app, and that'll give you how much calories you need to eat roughly, and you can use that to gauge how much you should be eating. What I do recommend you track after that, especially if you're trying to recomp, is how much protein you're eating, because you should eat a minimum amount of protein, 0.8 grams of protein per pound of body weight. That's roughly about how much protein you should be eating. Try to reach that every day so you can build muscle, or at minimum maintain the muscle you have. Obviously, with the more muscle you have, the less your body needs to break down muscle since you are in a caloric deficit. And even if you're not trying to explicitly build muscle, if you're trying to lose weight in general and you eat enough protein, you end up losing most of that weight in fat as opposed to in muscle, because if you're not eating enough protein, your body doesn't have protein to do its basic functions, and so it breaks down the muscle tissue you have. So if you eat enough protein, it doesn't have the need to build that, to break down that muscle. And if you're resistance training on top of that, it gives your body stimulus to even grow new muscle. And if obviously you're eating enough protein, and so the cycle goes on. You guys get it. And I do recommend that you regularly track either your weight or your calories. That way you have a gauge of how much you're supposed to be eating every day. You don't have to track the calories precisely, but if, let's say, you ate a lot a day before and you gained a little bit of weight, you're like, all right, let me pull back a bit, so that your, net average for the week or for the month or for the year, but that's too far, it stays in a deficit. So let's say your deficit is 2,000 calories and one day you eat 3,000 calories. The next day, so number 6, fasting. Fasting has a bunch of different benefits. That's evident through all the religions and all groups of people who fast separately. You have Muslims with Ramadan, you have Christians doing their fast with the Daniel fast. You have, I think, Buddhist fast as well. Everybody fasts, and it's, there has to be some facts behind this madness. I don't know if that's the saying, but that's what I'm going to say. There has to be some reason for everyone to fast. And so when you fast, you deplete your blood sugar stores, and so your body turns to fat, turns to ketones, which are the metabolized version of fat in your body, and it uses those to fuel your body instead. That's what fat is made for. It's there to keep you energized when you have no food. And so humans are essentially designed to have this fast feed period, like a cycle between fasting and feeding. Some people like to go shorter. There's a 16-8, sometimes even 4-20. That's I guess the longest, a short one. Longest short one is 20 hours for feeding, 20-hour fast for feeding. Some people go for the OMAD, which is just 1 meal a day. That's what it stands for, OMAD. But there are, most of the science that is actually has been done on this is for the 3-2. I think it's 5-2. So you fast for 2 days, you feed for 5 days. So if you think about it, let's math this out real quick. The average person, let's say, burns about 2,000 calories a day. That's what their diet is recommended. So 2,000 calories times 7, that's 14,000 calories a week. So if you take out 2 of those 2,000 calories, that's a 2,000 calorie deficit per week. That's a 4,000 calorie deficit per week. And 1 pound of fat is 3,500 calories, meaning you would burn around a pound and a fourth, if my math is correct, a pound and then some of fat when you actually fast for 2 full days. So those are the main types of fasting. Other benefits, you find mental clarity, obviously the fat loss benefits, and the spiritual benefits. You know, the Muslims, the Christians, we all fast for some reason, connection. I personally fast to deprive myself from my carnal desires, if that makes any sense. If my body's saying it needs to eat, I need to make sure that I'm in control, that I can tell my body when to eat. And if I don't want my body to eat, it will not eat. Just because my body says it wants to eat doesn't mean I have to eat. Topic number 7, diet doesn't really matter. That only matters when you're eating in a caloric deficit. Again, when your body's in a caloric deficit, whether that's on a keto, whether that's on paleo, whether that's on Twinkies, whether that's on, I don't know, Martian grape juice or something, you have to be in a caloric deficit. If anybody tells you that this diet is the only one that works or this diet is the only one that works, I'm not saying they're wrong, but they are kind of wrong. It might be the only one that works for them because that's what their body likes. Let's say they like carbohydrates, so a keto diet is not for them. They're obviously going to throw that one away. Let's say someone loves meat, obviously they can go for the carnivore, or they can even try keto, although keto is a little high fat for people who like a lot of meat. So the only true diet that works is a caloric deficit, whether that's in keto, whether it's on paleo, it does not matter. Just find something that works for you, that you like to eat. You'll get there. You'll lose the weight. On topic number 8, the final topic. This one I did really need is how to stay consistent when you're with family or when you're, let's say, back home for the holidays. I struggled with this one a lot, or I still do struggle with this one a lot. And that's mainly to, first, make sure you drink a lot of water. Make sure you're drinking as much water as you can. Stay away from calorie-filled drinks if you can. If there's no water, just drink a soda. If there's diet, go for the diet. That'd probably be better. And the other points, learn how to say no. It might hurt a bit, it might hurt your parents a bit or your family a bit, but learn how to say no. If you don't want to eat something, you don't want to eat something. Try to take responsibility for what you're doing, because then you get to a point where you're just blaming your parents, which is what I was doing. I was blaming my family when it was mostly my fault. I couldn't stop myself from eating something, so I didn't, and that's never good. Neither for you, neither for them. So try to do that. And when you are eating, let's say you're eating out, try to go for something lower calories, something you can tell is higher in protein, higher in healthy fats, lower in carbs, because if you have carbs and fats together, it becomes very easily calorically dense. So that's your pizzas, your pastas. Those things are very hard to get a lot of protein, a lot of satiety from, as opposed to something, let's say a bowl of chicken, rice, and vegetables with beans. I think that's what they have at Applebee's or something. And so it's important to try to make sure you keep your rations appropriate for your meal, even if you're eating out, or let's say you are eating at home and your family has like an assortment of food options. You can choose what you want. Even better, just try to make sure that you keep your portions down, as to not, if you don't want to eat anything, still try to be respectful about it. If they invite you to eat food, at least try the food. Grab a little plate. You don't have to indulge and engulf yourself in apple pie for Thanksgiving weekend or something, but socialize, enjoy life. You're not restricted. You're here for a reason. You love your family. You want to spend time with them. If they want to eat food, you try to enjoy it with them. Don't deprive yourself just for this weight loss. I mean, from the social aspect, you can deprive yourself from food. That's what you have to do to lose weight. To lose weight, you must sacrifice food. And so, yeah, that's pretty much it. Again, if you want to continue learning about the nutrition part, you can go back to the part 1 of the video. And this is my tip for bigger guys. It's not very healthy. This is not medical advice. This is not physical training advice. But what you could do, just try to hit your protein. Cut down on the calories as much as possible and try to hit your protein, minimum protein. Try to get lean sources of protein and just drop that as much as you can. That way you have a bump start, a head start, and you feel yourself, the motivation kicks on. And it will slow down. You have to understand that. It will slow down and it is not consistent. This is a very short-term burst. This is a sprint, a quick sprint, although weight loss is a marathon. This is a quick sprint to help you get ahead, if that makes any sense. And then once you get to let's say a point you understand that you can't really go much lower, you gradually increase the calories you're eating and increase your physical activity so they balance out. And so that way you kind of drop and then slowly plateau down. Well, you plateau and then you slowly go down. But yeah, that's my tip for the bigger guys. I'm trying it. We're gonna see how it works. All right then, peace.